Ladies and gentlemen, I have a really fine treat for you today on the HammondCast show on KYOU radio. We're here in London, England, with an old friend of mine and one of my very favorite basso profundo bass players of many different genres, and a great guy. I'm here with Laurence Cottle. How you doing, Laurence?
Yeah, great, John. Welcome to England, mate.
It's great to be back here, man. Long time. And, man, you've been busy as usual. You just got off tour with Peewee Ellis, right?
That's right, yeah. We just went to Italy, did 4 gigs over there.
Wow.
It's great to play with the maestro again. I've been playing with him for about 2 years off and on. So it's a real treat for me.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, you know, you played such a great stretch of music since I've known you, and you got started into the lower regions of the note spectrum by, you were originally a trombonist, is that right?
Yeah, I played in a band with my 2 brothers and my dad.
Wow.
Yeah, and mostly playing traditional jazz, Dixieland jazz. Mm-hmm. And then my dad wanted to change the band into more of a dance band. So he kicked me off the trombone and got me a bass guitar, and that's how I got started on the bass.
What year was it when you got your first bass guitar?
It was probably mid-70s around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've heard you play on Fretless as well. So when did you start experimenting with the Fretless bass?
Shortly after I heard the Jaco Pastorius album, funnily enough.
Uh-huh.
So I got a fretless bass after that, and played that for quite a few years. And now I dabbled with both, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first time I heard you play was at the British Music Fair back in the 80s, and you were playing with the Stacey brothers, Paul and Jeremy. And that was a great little combo. How are the Stacey brothers doing these days?
They're great. I don't play with them that often these days. I did a gig with them about 2 months ago in London. But they've gone very much into the rock and pop world. Jeremy's producing and playing with Sheryl Crow.
Oh, wow.
And
about that?
Yeah, he's been doing that for a while, and he's always away touring or recording with her. And Paul is playing guitar with a band called the Black Crows.
Wow!
Yeah,
those guys are fantastic. Yeah, well, tell them a big howdy from Hammond. You know, it's been a long time. Yeah. Those guys are great, and you played fantastic together. You know,
that was a good time for us.
Yeah,
we've got a gig coming up with those guys actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
In February down in Wales, we got a gig together. But do you remember the sax player Mornington Lockett?
Oh yeah,
yeah. That band's getting back together just to do this one gig, so it'll be a real treat.
Wow, what a gas, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have a long-time association with a lot of musicians, and you know, I've been seeing you at some of the trade shows as well. You know, so when I was always curious when you started playing bass, what was your first electric bass, and who were some of your influences? Who were some of the bass players that you listened to?
Well, the first bass that I had that my dad bought was a KYOU bass. I don't know if you... you know I've still got it. Uh-huh. And I leave it in my son's bedroom in the hope that he'll pick it up and try and find something to play on it, but he hasn't as yet. And my first inspirations were, without a doubt, John Entwistle. When I heard My Generation, that was...
Yeah, we were at the British Music Fair with John that year, you know, and... he just completely revolutionized the entire way of playing electric bass and the strings and everything. Yeah. His sound, you know, and plus he was a great guy, and we really miss him, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So you got to know John as well?
No, I only met John a couple of times, so I didn't really know him that well at all.
Wow.
But his solo on My Generation really inspired me to work at the bass, and at that time as well, I was really into Jack Bruce and got into Stanley Clarke, and then I heard the Jaco Pastorius album, and it was all over.
Well, your influences are very wide and varied. You play soul music, you play jazz, you rock and roll, man. You recorded with the guys from Black Sabbath, with Tommy Ian and Geezer, and did you get to meet Ozzy Osbourne?
No, Ozzy wasn't doing the band at the time. The singer when I did it was called Tony Martin.
Oh yeah, Tony. Yeah. Well, that's a very famous piece of work you did with them.
Yeah, it was great fun. It was a really good laugh. At that time I was doing a gig at Ronnie Scotts that week. So I was recording with Black Sabbath in the day, and then zipping over to Ronnie Scotts and tearing it up with Mornington Lockett there doing some heavy bop, you know, so it's nice diversity.
And they have a fairly small form. Isn't like 3 musicians and the singer? Is it a power trio behind the vocalist? Or?
Sabbath.
Yeah.
That album was called Headless Cross. It was Cozy Powell was on drums,
wow.
Jeff Nichols was on keyboards, and Tony on guitar,
nice.
and Tony Martin singing. So yeah, it was
lean and mean, man. That's great.
Big sound.
Well, then on the other side of the coin, you have your very own big band.
Yeah.
And the name of the big band, ladies and gentlemen, is the Laurence Cottle Big Band. And for those of you who don't know, over here in England, the English spelling of Laurence is Laurence. And so I was telling Laurence, that's a good name for your big band.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm sure you like it too.
Yeah, well, they can't fire me.
Yeah, man. Well, you have a lot of that's right. You can't fire you from your own big band, and you know, you've been doing a great job of organizing all these great players from the London area, and it's quite a piece of work just to get these guys together on a regular basis. And so you have a regular gig that you do with Ronnie Scotts, and you have recordings out together.
That's right.
Too?
Yeah, we usually play at Ronnie Scotts every 3 months. We do a weekend there. We've just finished one there now. It was a great event, sold out every night, and we have a singer that comes along and joins us, and that's Claire Martin. Mm-hmm. She's a British.
Who's that drummer in your band, man? He was amazing. What's his name?
Ian Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Oh, he's a killer.
Smoking rhythm section, man.
He's established himself as one of the top session drummers in Britain now. He's working all the time.
Yeah. Excellent, you know. And the whole horn section sounds great. You got a great unit there.
Yeah, it's good fun. We travel a little bit with it. We've done, actually we did a tour in Thailand. We did 4 gigs in Thailand last year, which was absolutely
really got the whole band over to Thailand. That's unbelievable.
That was amazing. Yeah, it was incredible.
It's a good thing you're not there now, you know.
Yeah,
been having a little bit of action over there. I saw on the news, you know. So whenever you travel with a large aggregation like that, I'm sure some interesting things happen. Huh?
Yes. I can't think of any that I can relay on the airwaves.
Yeah, I believe it, man.
I'll tell you later when we've had a pint.
So for the interested bass players out there, we have a lot of musicians who listen to our show. I'm sure they're very curious what type of equipment you're playing these days.
Well, I've got a selection of basses. Well, not so much now but I used to do a lot of studio work, so I've obviously got an old Fender Precision and a jazz bass that are very handy for those situations. I've been playing 5-string bass since 1984. I use wall basses, British handmade bass, and they made my first 5-string in 1984, which I still have, which is a fretless bass, and I still play that quite a lot. I also use Yamaha bass guitars. I have a Yamaha 5-string fretted bass, and an excellent luthier over here in Britain called Bernie Goodfellow is making me a phenomenal 6-string instrument. And amplification-wise, I use EBS, a Swedish amplification company, and speakers, and they're fantastic. Just give me the right punch and just what I need to be heard.
Great. Well, when you hear Laurence's sound, folks, that's the equipment he uses. The rest is up to you. You got to do a lot of practicing. I know you did a lot of practicing when you were growing up, and having your father be a professional musician was a great plus. And but on the schooling side, I have heard that you're kind of like me, a cut up in class. You like to break the people up in class, so you weren't the most serious student. Is that true?
No, I used to mess around quite a lot in school. I was the clown of the class for sure.
Well,
but don't tell my kids that.
That's one way to get excused, so you can go home and play the bass, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's really great that you came here to see us, Laurence, and it's always fun to see you. I love to hear your music. You're one of my very favorite musicians. Your spirit always comes through the music. All the musicians love to play with you. That's why you're one of the busiest cats in the business. And I want to steer everybody to your website. You have a very good .com domain, and Laurence Cottle, it's LaurenceCottle.com, right?
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and what else are you on? Some of the MySpace.
There's a lot of audio files on LaurenceCottle.com though for people to listen to. A lot of MP3s and stuff. You can download albums and stuff like that for free.
And then you've been coming out to the NAMM show in
yeah, well, I was there a couple of years ago. I can't make it this year because I'm going to be on tour, but yeah, I love
doing it. How about Frankfurt? Will you be in Frankfurt?
I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm doing around that time, but are you going over?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you'll be there.
I never met, like this Swallows Fly to Capistrano will be in Frankfurt, you know. I love Frankfurt, you know. I was telling Tony Bennett, you know, I got to meet Tony Bennett, you know, he had that famous song. He said, I left my heart in San Francisco, and we're broadcasting on a San Francisco station. I love San Francisco, really, you know. But I said, Tony, my name is John Hammond from the local 802, Local 6 Musicians Union. I said, I left my car in San Francisco, you know. You know, oh man, I never heard that one before, you know. But I left my heart in Frankfurt, you know. I love Frankfurt is my good luck city. I've been going to that music messa and meeting so many musicians there. It's just a great hang, you know.
Yeah.
So Laurence, you've got a busy schedule. Have you got any notable shows you want to let the people know about that they're coming up? Well, the next tour that I'm doing is starting in the middle of January, and that's with, it's with the chap that got me into the slot with Black Sabbath, it's a more of a heavy sort of rock gig. His name's Don Airy. He's playing with, he's the Hammond player in Deep Purple now. Right.
He replaced John Lord. So I'm doing a tour with his band, and that's all over Europe, Belgium, Germany, France.
And he totes a real B3 around with him?
Yeah, we're going in a bus. We're touring in the bus.
He's a maniac, huh?
He's got a trailer behind with his Hammond in it.
No kidding. Yeah. What a gas, man.
Yeah, so
and what's the word from Alan Parsons these days?
Oh, well, I've been working with Eric Wolfson, his partner, a little bit. He's been writing musicals and repackaging some of the stuff that we recorded with Alan. That was never released, so that might be interesting. And I saw Alan a couple of years ago at the Malta Jazz Festival. I don't know why he was at the Jazz Festival, but he's doing well as far as I can see. I don't know really what his band.
Well, man, you have a great body of work, and
thank you.
The music just comes out of those hands, man. Take care of those hands. I always tell my great musician friends like you, I said, always look out for over-enthusiastic handshakers, you know, at the gigs, you know. So, looks like you're taking good care of yourself, and your family's doing well, you know. So give our best to your family. I want to thank you for coming in. And before you get out of here, you know, our station in San Francisco, it's called KYOU Radio, and we broadcast on the radio and streaming around the world from KYOUradio.com, you know. So before we get out of here, Laurence, what can you say to our listeners on KYOU Radio?
Well, I think you better listen to KYOU, otherwise I'm going to come and get you.
All right, thanks, Laurence.